Hey all you typical Americans, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking apart my 22 that had a bunch of malfunctions the other day. Just a little disclaimer, it's already been taken apart and cleaned, which is why I kind of noticed some of the things that may be causing the issues that we were having out on the range the other day. One of the great things about having you guys watch these videos is that when I have malfunctions like that, you guys are able to quickly put out what you think is wrong with it. And actually, that helped out a lot when I was getting comments about the magazine. Now, I was able to take the magazine apart, which is actually kind of a pain in the butt to do. However, I took this apart, cleaned it, really good. It had a lot of rust on the inside, including the magazine spring. But it seems to be working pretty well now, just loading and unloading rounds into it. I haven't actually taken this out to the range yet. One of the other things I wanted to bring up as far as the problems were going is the feed ramp actually looks like it's notched on the way up. And I don't know if that's from rounds constantly hitting the feed ramp, but I doubt it because we're dealing with copper and lead jackets, which are pretty malleable, and they will mush before the steel does. So it's just it's real rough. And if this is how it's designed, I don't really understand how it's designed like that or why it's designed like that, because it literally looks like the rounds could be just hanging up on the feed ramp, or that could be part of the cause coupled with the magazine. So that's some of the stuff that we were running into. I'm going to take this apart for you guys really quick. It's going to be kind of lengthy because it is so intricate to take apart, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But I'm going to take you guys along for this, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and we'll get this rifle back out to the range here pretty soon and see if we fix the problems. Okay guys, so you're looking at the 22 just opposite of me. Now right here, that's actually the takedown screw, and it is a little bit of a pain in the butt to get out, so I'll have this set up real quick to get this out for us. All I gotta do is really get that started, and then it's knurled, so you can just take it down just like this. Unscrew that, and then the whole stock pops right off the assembly, just like that. Put the stock off to the side. Now what you're looking at right now is the mag well and the trigger assembly, which we will be taking off also. I usually just take a bit and unscrew it that way, because they're kind of a pain to get to with a traditional screwdriver or a ratchet. But they're little short screws that are just kind of a pain in the butt to get to, which may be why my grandfather never took this thing apart like I have been doing. So right there, those two screws are out, and that's how you pop off your mag well and your brass deflector over there. Okay. Now that that's off, we'll go ahead and move to the trigger group. Again, short little screws. This one's actually pretty tight, so yeah, I'm gonna use the ratchet for this one. This one I can actually get to with the ratchet, so that one's off. And I dropped my bit. And we're back. Okay, so just kind of unscrew that there, release the tension of this spring right here. And then this one is kind of a pain in the butt, because if you guys can't see this, that screw is underneath that piece of sheet metal that attaches to the safety to put the gun on safe. And that is a pain in the butt to get out. But basically what I have to do is take this bit here and push on it, because it's only about hand tight. I have to push on that until the assembly comes up, and this just I'm really understanding why my grandfather probably never took this apart, and my dad, to be honest, because this is just a pain in the butt. This takes a second. All right, so now that that's up, you can take the trigger guard, or the trigger assembly off, and you pop that little piece of sheet metal off the safety. Now that that's stuff off, you just unscrew the back plate here that houses the safety, and then you can pull out your recoil spring and buffer, as well as your firing pin. And then if you pull the bolt all the way back to the rear, you can pull the charging handle off and push the bolt out. The bolt will just come sliding out because it's this big hunk of steel. Polished steel, which is what we did to kind of get that action to smooth it up a little bit, as well as the inside we've done too. And one of the things that we've run into, and I don't know if it's going to focus on this, is right here, that's starting to break apart a little bit. That's the part of the extractor. And this comes off, this just pops off, and this is just a little piece of sheet metal. But all these parts I've been able to find on Numerich Gun Parts. They still sell these coast-to-coast rifle parts. So if anything on this breaks, I will definitely be able to replace it, which is nice. That's actually really convenient. And I may actually just pick up some of those parts to alleviate any lead time to be able to fix it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this back on here. Really easy to do. Like I said, it's that spring sheet metal. So it's completely taken apart at this point. Now I want to show you guys that feed ramp. I don't know if you guys can see it. Holy there, like right there, right on the inside there, it's divoted twice, and it's not smooth, which is kind of weird when I go and look at feed ramps like the Bren 2 or any other thing. It's always been a smooth feed ramp, so I don't know why this one is such a rough feed ramp. Something that I'm definitely going to look into after we take this thing to the range and see if we've solved any of the problems as far as the magazine goes. Now, putting this back together is not so simple. It's easy because you just reverse the process, but like I said before, this thing is just a pain in the butt to put back together. So basically you just take your bolt, slide that in, just like that, and it will actually slide in over that little piece, that metal piece right there. All right. Pull that back to where the recess is to insert your charging handle. Then you just go ahead and pop the charging handle in there. If you pop it in all the way like that, you can't move the bolt, which is actually kind of a cool thing if you want to lock the bolt to the rear, or say you're having problems like we were having out at the range. I was able to manually manipulate the bolt by locking it into that recess. You fire the weapon, it doesn't eject that round, then you can pull it out and operate it like a bolt action. So that's kind of cool. I thought that was pretty cool. Then you go ahead and insert your firing pin and your buffer and recoil spring, and it has a certain way that it goes in there. It will not allow you to put this thing back together wrong, so that's actually kind of cool. It's got a little notch on the inside there that you just push that in, goes all the way in just like that. And then you reverse the process with your safety housing there in the back cap. You just screw that right back on, and it's gonna want to screw on all the way to the point where it doesn't line up, right? Just like that. So it just kind of sticks that way. Well, you have to kind of back it off a quarter of a turn to get it to work right. So just, if you guys have a Model 285 or a Savage 7, which I'll get into the history of this firearm here in a second when we get done with the disassembly and reassembly, but you just kind of have to back that off for it to work. Just a quarter of a turn though, any farther, and you're gonna risk that thing not necessarily coming off, but not being spaced properly for the gun to work properly. So then you kind of have to finagle that sheet metal into the trigger and then place that down so that you can get those screwed back in. Now this part, that part's easy, right? You just screw that down and it's fine, but then you have to reverse, kind of push this screw back in, which is not so easy. I'm gonna actually back this one out just a little bit here, kind of relieve tension on that piece. And you have to make sure that that sheet metal is backed off of it too, otherwise you won't be able to reach it. Sure is a pain in the butt. Now, when everything's said and done on this rifle, that's in, and you want to make sure you don't tighten it down too hard, otherwise you will put too much pressure on the sheet metal that makes the safety go back and forth on the actual trigger part. It will stop that and you won't be able to pull the safety back or push it to take it off safe or fire if that back screw is too tight. So make sure that it's not on there too tight, otherwise you will run into those problems. I have done that, which is why I know that. So that back screw is in, everything's put back together there. Now to put this back together, you're going to loop that tension spring for the magazine in with the screw in it, and then drop it into the recess where it's supposed to be at right there. And then the other screw just goes in just like that. Okay, you have to make sure that the ejector is placed in there just right, otherwise it will not fit together properly. And then we just reverse the process and screw these back in. I will be looking at, once this thing's all said and done and put back together properly and is working flawlessly, I will Loctite glue those down so that they don't back out, because that is one of the issues that I'm running into, is that it actually backs out on me. Now that the gun's back together, go ahead and put the stock back on. And that just fits right over here. Okay, just like that. And then you just take that knurled screw and this goes right into the receiver, or right into the barrel, I'm sorry. And then I go ahead and tighten it down a little bit just to get it so I don't have any wiggle room. Not too tight, but I snug it up right there, and then you just pop that magazine in and it's good to go. So that's the disassembly and reassembly of this rifle and what I think is causing the issues that we're having out on the range. All right, everyone, now that we've taken my grandfather's rifle apart and put it back together and gone over some of the issues that we have gone through, and then also pointing out what could be contributing to those issues, I wanted to take this portion of the video to kind of delve into a little bit of the backstory for Coast to Coast. Now, Coast to Coast was founded in 1928 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they were a hardware store and sold firearms, which is really common back then, and they boomed after World War II. They had a really big uptick in business and everything like that. They did really well, and then later on, not so well. They were killed off by companies like Lowe's, Ace Hardware, and Home Depot. And we all know that none of those companies carry firearms. However, you used to be able to just walk in and buy one of these guns off the shelf, which is pretty cool. They didn't come with serial numbers. This rifle doesn't have a serial number. It just has Coast to Coast stores printed on it, model 285, which is something that I wish we could get back to. However, with modern day, I doubt we'll ever see that. Anyway, They were produced and manufactured for coast to coast by companies like Savage, Stevens, Springfield, and Mossberg. And this particular rifle here was a a Savage 7 or a Stevens 7J, which it was modeled after. And what's really cool is if you go to Numerous Gun Parts, you can actually find every single part you need for this rifle, including the barrel, the front sight, rear sight, everything, down to, you know, the little screws that it comes with. You can buy on Numerous Gun Parts. So I could completely redo this rifle if I needed to. Now I plan on ordering some of the parts that are a little worn more than others, just so that if anything breaks on this rifle while we're out at the range with it, I can replace it quickly. So I'll be doing that here pretty soon. I could order a stock on there, but then I was like, maybe not. That would be the lazy thing to do. Instead, I'm going to continue refinishing this stock because I want to say that I restored this rifle completely, not just bought a bunch of parts for it, right? One of the things that I'm going to do before I start refinishing the stock is to make sure that this rifle works 100%, which is why you've seen that I haven't finished the stock yet. It's still bare wood and everything like that, and that's just because I want to finish with the mechanics on this rifle to make sure that it runs 100% before I start finishing how it looks, because I'd rather it work good and not look good rather than not work good and look good. So we'll get more into that, and you guys will see my plans for the stock here pretty soon. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is through Patreon. If you go to www.patreon.com/typicalamerican, you can head over to that page, and if you donate $1, $5, or $10, it allows you access to making your own patron posts, pictures, posts, anything you want over there. It's uncensored. It also allows you access to patron-only posts from me, as well as behind-the-scenes stuff and personal messages with me, and then a chance to actually come out and shoot with me at the range. So really cool stuff coming up for patrons. So if you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Another way to support the channel is through Dr. Squatch Soap Company. I have a discount code associated with them down below, and that gives me a 10% kickback off of any purchase made, and it gives you a 15% discount on your purchase as well. So it's kind of a thank you from me, as well as support to the channel to allow me to buy equipment, cameras, ammunition, stuff like that. It allows us to get better quality videos out to you guys faster. So if you're considering supporting the channel, those two ways are really awesome. Now, next is more of a thank you to my supporters and my viewers and subscribers. All you guys, there's a discount code down below for Good to Go ammunition. It's 10% off your entire order, and there's no financial kickback to the channel. It's just a thank you for watching the channel and continuing to watch the channel. Good to Go Ammo is a veteran-owned company, and I fully support those guys. And I want to give them as much love from our community as possible. So if you guys head over to Good to Go Ammo, use that discount code. They got really good prices over there. Check them out, please. That's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.